Welcome to the Hogsty, ladies and gentlemen. The Redskins hop across the pond to jolly old England for their bout against Jay Gruden's former Cincinnati Bengals next week. Should be a good one. Plus, Spencer Long was on the show to Wizard of Oz it up. That's code for talking lions and tigers, but not bears. So who gives a shit what we think? Stick around for Mr. Long. This is the Hogsty. We will see you soon.
Welcome to the Hogsty with your crew, Alex Zeese, Steve Thomas, and Robbie Duncan. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hardcore, but even some casual fans out there know how much we love our O-linemen here on the Higgity Hogsty. Well, tonight we've got a nice big get. 2014 78th overall pick Spencer Long joins the show tonight. You can find Spencer on Twitter at Salong_61 or under center most Sundays and the occasional Monday or Thursday. No big deal. Spencer, welcome to the show. How the fuck are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Guys.
We're good having you here on the show, man. Welcome.
Yeah, very excited to have you here.
Yeah, welcome, Spencer.
Yeah, if you can't tell from our giddiness, we are pretty boosted. So we wanted to lead right off. If you're ready to go, we got to ask you about this Lions game, man. So we know you're already focused on next week. That's all good. But we got to ask you, man, what's your take with this game this past Sunday? It's been a day. What are you thinking?
Overall, we obviously missed some opportunities, and watching the film, we got to clean some stuff up, and it just seemed like we weren't clicking as a unit like we usually do, and that caused some missed opportunities, and everybody took kind of their turn, and it's never as bad as it seems, it's never as good as it seems on the film, but we did enough mistakes to not put us in a good enough chance to win that football game, and we're really we shot ourselves in the foot, and we're really disappointed in ourselves for that, and we didn't give our guys enough opportunity to win that game, but.
Well, the only thing I'd say to that, Spencer, is 5-win streaks are pretty rare, man. Don't be too hard on yourself. You all been doing pretty damn good.
Right, and it just gives you a reason to start another streak.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was just a good opportunity to get that 5th win in a row, and we felt like we could have done that, and left an opportunity out there. So.
Hey, listen. It's in the past. We want to move forward. So from here on out, we're just going to focus on the positive. One of those positives, I'm really excited watching you play. I've been a lifelong Redskins fan. We haven't had a young, talented center here, and it feels like a long time. Since you've taken the job from Corey, you've really kind of run with this opportunity. I kind of got to wonder, though, what's the big adjustment for you? You were a guard, and now you're playing center.
First off, it was mentally, you might not think about it, but when you switch just one position, over inside, your whole vision changes about the defense and everything. And I had both guard positions down pretty well, but it took me a little bit to, get the ball rolling at center. And I was glad that they gave me the opportunity to do so. And OTAs, where it's not quite important, where the reps don't, obviously every rep counts, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't hold as much weight as if we're in camp or in the preseason or something like that. But really gave me an opportunity to grow at that position, and I just had to hit the books hard, and picked it up within a couple of weeks, and started with more and more I saw, the better more comfortable I was able to get, and going into the games, I feel like I'm just going to keep growing every week, and. And also one of the, run blocking is a little bit different, especially when you're, they're on your snap hand and,
sure.
All that stuff. But, there's just minor adjustments like that. But Coach Callahan's done a really good job of, helping me through that. And, there's a couple, even against the Lions last week, there's a couple learning experiences for me. So, I'm growing every week, and I feel like I've found a home there. I'm super excited.
Yeah. You definitely seem more comfortable there. But had you... you've been practicing here and there at center since you've been here with the Redskins, but did you actually play center at all before, like in high school or college?
I did when I moved over to offensive line. Well, long story short, I was a D lineman, got converted to offensive line. They threw me right in the fire at center. And I did not do well, just because I had no idea about offensive line in college, and I was young, underdeveloped.
Yeah. And so that was, your freshman or sophomore year in Nebraska?
Yeah, sophomore year in Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
So I walked up as the defensive lineman, and they bumped me in from DN to interior D-line, put on a bunch of weight, and then my GA at the time actually was like, hey, I think you do a, heck of a job of, if you can move over to offensive line, I think you can give yourself a real opportunity to, get a lot of playing time around here. And I was like, well, whatever's going to bring me closer to the field. And
Sure.
Yeah.
I got to shout him out. His name's John Garrison. He's the man. He's my guy. So, but anyway, he saw some potential in me. But long story short, I got very little experience coming into the Redskins at center. But I had a year, but I never played. I practiced a little bit, but I was still mostly a guard, and made that full transition to guard very shortly, within a few weeks. And as after playing center for being a center, being like a third string backup center for a year, but
sure,
also working on my guard.
I mean, you're basically the quarterback of the offensive line. I can't really say much about it because I sucked at center when I played. I played guard and tackle. They moved me all over the place. But you mentioned how Coach Callahan's kind of helping you with his transition, and I mean, obviously it's paying off. You've, like we said, you've been taking the center position, running with it. But can you go into specifics of how he's actually, what he's done to help you, fully get comfortable with this position and help you continue to grow at it?
Well, I mean, I knew the scheme before last year. I mean, after playing 14 games at left guard, I had to know the scheme, but obviously not to the detail I do at center. I mean, at center now I know what everybody's doing, but I feel like I still understood my points and all that stuff at left guard, and I just kind of took that and ran with it mentally, because, I mean, Coach Callahan, he's got so much stuff he wants to, teach and all this stuff. He doesn't have time. If I can't catch up, then it's my own fault, he's going to keep rolling. But, but he did a really good job with, helping me technique-wise and making sure if I had any questions mentally, grand scheme, like, for in this type of formation and, they were running nickel against us, where's the mic and all this stuff. Like, and I also had a lot of help from Corey, who's been nothing but a true pro and a true vet to me, who has really helped me along the way. And I can't thank him enough for, being a true friend and a true pro and helping me along the way. But, Coach Callahan also as well, in every little minor detail. If I ever had a question, they were always open. The door was always open. And so it was really just sifting through that way.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, that's really difficult as a center, and you've really kind of shined at this, especially the past game against the Lions. You did it a couple times, maybe 3 or 4 times, but your pulling as a center is very impressive. Like, for people that don't know, snapping accurately and pulling at the same time is incredibly difficult, and you make it look flawless. How has that been in trying to pick up and do?
I've always loved to pull, man. I mean, I feel like that was one of my strengths at guard, and so I don't know. I mean, the snap thing took a little second to pick up, but once I get out of space, I feel comfortable there, and I just kind of came naturally, really, with any center pull we put in, and I feel comfortable pulling. So.
I imagine it's a strange feeling when a man runs up behind you and touches your crotch. I mean, that must be a weird thing to adjust to, Spencer.
Yeah, only Kirk. Only Kirk.
Yeah, only Kirk. He's the only one.
That's true. Right. I mean, if you only did it in college and now, you've only had one guy do it. So. Yeah.
He's your first.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let me just say this too, while we're on the subject. You really, for a guy who's fairly new at the whole center position, you really have transitioned very smoothly from the perspective of a fan. Like, we're used to, if a guy comes in mid-season, you're going to see a lot of, over snaps or, that kind of horror show situation. But you've played really well. So I just want to let you know, as a fan, we think you've been doing a great job, with this whole change of position.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff,
I really
man.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
you got to be ready.
Oh, sorry.
If you're asking something, I'm just saying, if you got to be ready, man. And this is the NFL, and something happens, don't take advantage of the opportunity. That's your own fault. So, I mean, just got to keep working hard at both positions. And it was difficult for a minute, trying to, have one foot in left guard or one foot at center and trying to win a job, competing against obviously a very good guard in Sean, and also against Corey. And it was hard to balance at times, but
sure.
I mean, that's just the way it goes. You got to do what you're asked and do what the team needs you to do.
Yeah, like it's unfortunate how you kind of had the opportunity given to you, but you take what you're given, right?
Yeah, you make the best. That's right.
So let's go into more specifics about your play. I mean, we've pointed out the good things. You're good. You got quick feet. You're really quick and decisive in helping out in pass
Good
pro.
strength too. We didn't mention you've got that ability to like throw guys over pretty easily too, which I like seeing. I always like seeing a opposing lineman fall on the ground. So
yeah, but what would you say is the areas that you need to work on more? I mean, obviously you're still learning the center position, but like technique wise, offensive line wise, what do you think is the area you still need to grow in?
I would say, generally just the little tendencies are like if I'm a whole set here and make sure I'm gap integrity and all stuff, like just
Right.
the little nuances still learn about being consistent. And for the most part, I am. It comes up every once in a while. I'm just like, well, I should really be kicking towards this guy and having my presence here more than here. But I'm just trying to play ball in there, and I feel pressure in one area, and I'm kind of scooting, and I lose my integrity in my rule. It's it's just little things like that, just really cleaning up, and then obviously just becoming more consistent all across. And I had a couple reach blocks I wish I could have back in that Lions game, and but I've never seen that type of technique before against me, and I'm obviously going to learn from that. And I mean, it's not like Coach Callahan didn't prepare for me. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it in live action. It kind of caught me a little bit off guard, but that's now something that I'm definitely going to grow from. So
you're talking about the angled nose tackle.
Yeah, I mean, they were out charging some of them, and then other times they'd get the via the neck and get a really good time on the snap there, and I just got to learn to rake through that. And I've never had a nose tackle shoot at me like that before, and it's just kind of like, well, now I know what to do, but I didn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and it didn't help because he was getting a good jump off the snap too.
Oh yeah, he hit me right in the V of the neck right when my snap hand was between my legs. So it's just, but I mean, I can learn from that, and you can't you get reps and practice and stuff. You practice that stuff, but it's not quite the same, when game adrenaline is going on in the live action. But obviously, I mean, that one's been beating me up a lot, and I just want to, and I know I'm going to grow from that. So,
what about some of the pre-snap stuff? I know at center, like it's a whole different ball game for you, kind of figuring out where the rush is coming from, and you have to make calls as well. I mean, how are you adjusting to that?
Yeah, I mean, really, I've kind of had to even alter my whole preparation, and a lot of, as a guard, I was coming in really honed in on, how personal D-line, techniques and how they rush the passer or their D tackles or anything like that, or, but at center, you're usually working with somebody else unless they're, obviously in an out front or a jam or something like that. But it's just, and you still have to prepare that way, but really there's just a grand scheme now. You look at the whole defense, and you tell, just really broaden your vision both in preparation and on the field, and really just kind of looking at the whole scheme, and so you can put your guys in the right position, make the right calls, and sniff out any changes in the D or any tells or anything like that.
Right.
And I think I'm getting better and better each week at that, which is the Lions threw a lot of stuff at us last week, and I feel like communication wise we were still on board, on target, and so that was good for me, and it was great. They didn't even run the same front that we, had mostly prepared for. They were running a lot of big nickel, which was something that we didn't, think they were going to run. I mean, we weren't prepared for it, but it's harder to see when there's a little guy out there versus a true will linebacker, So.
Sure.
Yeah, they brought a lot of exotic stunts and stuff too.
Oh yeah, they were all over the board, and that's a well-coached D-line. So. Sure.
Well. About these pre-snap things, I kind of was curious. When I played in college, the way our pass pro pre-snaps worked was the center made the protection calls originally based on the field or to the most dangerous guy, whatever. Is that the same thing for you guys, or does Kirk make all the protection calls?
Kirk has the trump card, so it's really. But there's different rules with each type of different protection that we have.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like if we're running one sort of protection, empty versus jet versus all this stuff. So I don't know. Each own protection that we call has their own set of rules that apply. But if Kirk is the Q, he's the captain. So I mean, if he sees something that I don't, he always has that ability to change it, and he's been doing a great job this year. putting us in the right spot when. And sometimes they say, hey, you can't change it. You have to wait for him to change it so that we're on the same page. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like, he sees something and that I don't, or I see something, I still have to wait for him to see it. Or else, he needs to know where we're going. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I understand. Like, it was basically the same thing for us. Center would make the original call, then the quarterback he has, like you said, the trump card. He'd make the changes here and there and all kinds of crazy stuff. But let's move on to it's a little more fun. Like, you have every offensive lineman has their favorite running play. You said you like to pull, so I got to assume it's either trap or power or maybe even sweep that you like to run as an offensive lineman.
I actually really like our duo play. I think that's our bread and butter. And whenever I'm uncovered at a center and I get a tee off on like a one technique or what we call a one technique, which is like a G, or like a technique, which is the shade of the guard. Mm-hmm. Anytime I get a tee off on that and then climb the second level and just watch those back take that read. I like that play a lot, but I don't know. I like mixing it up. I mean, I don't really necessarily have a favorite, but I just like being able to gash them so whatever can get that done.
Cool. Well, we're pretty much done here, but we'd be remiss to not ask you about your next opponent, the Bengals in London. What have you guys?
Jolly old London.
Yeah, jolly old London. What do you think? What do you think about the Bengals? Obviously, they got a pretty good defensive front. Geno Atkins and what's his name, Carlos Dunlap. What do they bring to the table that you guys got to prepare for?
I mean, they got big size inside, good power, and great length and speed that cover a lot of ground on the outside and the ends. And I'm just diving into the preparation right now. We dove in today, and I'm doing more, as we speak. But every different front, every team in this league has a different front that presents their own challenges. But I think these guys are very stout in the interior, and obviously have a lot of skill on the outside. So it's going to be another challenge, like it is every single week.
Yeah.
But we take care of our business. I think we can be able to do well. So.
Sure.
Hey, I got a quick question. I assume Jay worked under Marvin Lewis for a while, so I assume is he a little amped up this week for going against his old head coach?
Friendly rivalry?
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some insight too, so I don't know. But, I mean, of course, every week's big, though. I mean,
oh, sure.
We'll see. I haven't really talked to him about it, but I'm sure he's giddy, but we all are. We need this one, and we need to go by week 5.
So, Spencer, we're gonna play the Bengals this week in London. What do you think about that? We gotta block Geno Atkins. What do you think?
God, we told him to stop calling. God damn it!
Is that how does that sound? Does that sound like Gruden?
Yeah,
that's the best we can do.
I had to throw it in there to see what you thought.
All
right, well,
person caught it a little better.
Yeah, he's a little banged up, but I think he's gonna be okay.
It's perfect if you ask my amateur ears, I'll tell you. Well, look, we want to be real respectful of your time, and we are super appreciative for you being on the show. Got to ask you planning anything fun for your trip over the pond here?
Oh, no. I mean, that's all business, man. We want to get this one.
All business?
My phone comes. I could take a tiny little breath for a couple of days in the bye week, and that's just,
That's about all you got?
That's it.
All right,
man,
that's it.
It's a business trip through and through. It'll be nice to see the scenery and stuff like that, but, I mean, we're going down there to work, and
absolutely.
no doubt about it.
Well,
we're only for a couple of days, and we want to get the job done, so.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure you will. And by the way, if you ever want to grab the TV camera while you're over there and emphatically mouth that you should listen to the hog sty while you're on the field, you can go ahead and do that.
Exactly what?
It's up to you.
That won't get you fined in the NFL. No.
Yeah, just grab the TV camera and give us a nice shout out, Spencer. That's all you got to do. It's simple stuff.
All right. I'll compensate for you guys.
Just kidding, man. No. Thank you so much for being on the show. You are the man, and we would love to have you back sometime. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Best luck, Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer, go knock a few of those Bengals down for us.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care, man.
Yeah, take care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that interview as much as we enjoyed hosting it. Really good stuff from Spencer. I thought that was a really good one, guys. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I loved it. And by the way, that's our fifth lineman.
Spencer had great stuff to say.
Yeah. Oh God.
Been there all
God.
along.
Yeah, I'm here.
Jesus. It's just kind of.
I have been here all along. To be quite honest, I've been lurking. I was a little bit shy today. I was kind of afraid, to ask him questions because we had a big star on, and so I really I did something I've never done in my entire life and kept my mouth shut and just listened to the pros.
It sounds
That
like we need
was
to have more big
very
stars
odd.
on more often then.
Yeah. All right. Well, damn, Steve. Glad to have you with us, even if you've been creeping on us this whole
Yeah.
time. What do we guys? Do we want to do a little debrief on stuff that Spencer said, or should we move right into our preview of the Bengals game, which is coming up?
Well, Robbie,
What do you
why don't
think?
you give us what's your big takeaway you took from the Spencer thing? Because I mean, let's put this out there. You landed us this interview on Twitter
Right.
because he loved some of your breakdowns, right?
Yeah, he did. He appreciated it, like the recognition. So he felt he felt the need to say something to us and go on for an interview. So I was really appreciative for that. But yeah, I mean, I think he kind of touched on what we've all been thinking. I know I wasn't here for the game review, but basically Lions brought it. They brought all kinds of exotic stuff. They ran all these stunts and blitzes and just really confusing looks. And to say they were unprepared is not probably the right word, but they got caught off guard. Things just didn't quite go their way. The miscommunications and picking stuff up. I think the way Spencer went at it was basically saying the same thing, but just more player speak way. But like I said before that we started recording this, the Redskins Cowboys game when we won with Colt McCoy.
Right.
I mean, we did all kinds of exotic blitzes and crazy stuff to throw at that offensive line of the Cowboys, and it worked. They had a horrible day, and good offensive linemen or good offensive lines have a good games and bad games. And this was a bad game. I don't think it's a sign of them coming back down to earth or anything. I think it was just a bad game, and they're ready to bounce back from it.
Sure. Well, unless Alex, you got a thought on that before we pivot over here to the future?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the one thing that really, and I tried to get this across to him, I'm really excited that we have a talented young center on this team. Somebody who I think can be here for the next decade. I look at the line and I see potentially 4 guys right now that could be long-term solutions, and they're all under 25, 26 years old.
And the crazy thing, too, is, I didn't really quite realize this, but he hadn't even been playing offensive line until, sophomore year of his college? College?
That was shocking.
Yeah.
I mean,
he still did it for a year, I think, right?
He's still learning. And that's the crazy thing. He's doing some really good stuff as, he's as a young, still learning the ropes offensive lineman, which is very encouraging, very promising, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we were kidding about me lurking. I missed the interview, and so I'm looking forward to hearing what he had to say when I hear the playback. But my kind of takeaway on Spencer Long is that it's he kind of came out of nowhere with this center thing, and you kind of stole my thunder, Robbie. I think he's got nothing but growth ahead of him, growth and development, because he's already at a basic level of competence, never having played it ever, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I think what we're going to see now is growth into a top quality center, hopefully, especially with Bill Callahan. I don't know if he talked about Bill Callahan's influence on him or not, but
we talked at length about that one.
We have a great offensive coach. Yeah.
Yep.
The other big takeaway I would point out, Steve, before you listen to it is Kirk Cousins is the only man that's allowed to run up behind Spencer and touch his gooch. This was the other thing that came out of the interview.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're being serious, by the way. That really was a question.
Kirk was his first.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully his last man touching his gooch, too. Anyways, we'll maybe
I
let
was going
that...
to say, I don't know how much experience he has with that kind of thing. Yeah.
Not much. I think he's had enough. Yeah, I think he's had enough.
It didn't sound like a lot.
There's a lot of jokes we can make off that. I'm going to refrain.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, we'll refrain now. Okay, so let's pivot on over then, because we got an interesting matchup coming up, guys. Not only are we up against Jay Gruden's former Cincinnati Bengals team, but we're doing it over in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
What? That should be pretty freaking interesting and cool. So I don't know if we want to keep with the offensive line theme of this interview. Maybe, Steve, you can give us some Bengals defensive stats so we can see how our guys match up. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, just generally speaking, when I was studying the Bengals, I was amazed at how similar their level of production this year was to the Redskins in many, many areas. From the quarterback on down, they're very similar. So on defense, tell me if this sounds a little bit familiar here.
Mm-hmm.
They are 20th in total points with 162 points surrendered, which, by the way, is the same as the Redskins to the point. 19th in total yards, 15th in yards per game surrendered, 21st in passing, 16th in passing yards, 24th in rushing yards. So this is a team that is a little bit better against the pass, is a little bit worse against the rush. Not that good. They surrender 354.6 yards per game. As compared to 363 for us. I think their talent here is sacks.
Right.
And we'll let Robbie get into the D line, but they've got Carlos Dunlap, Carlos Dansby. They've got 15 sacks on the year, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
From a rushing perspective, they're giving up 4.6 yards per attempt, which is almost as bad as us. They've 63.7% completion percentage. It's a lot of their numbers. Just looking at them on paper, it's remarkable how similar they are in some respects. On offense and defense both. So that's kind of a general thought. I guess, Robbie, I'd like to start, if we're talking defense, tell us about their D line, because I was amazed that they had 15 sacks already this year.
Well, yeah, I'm actually amazed that they're kind of bottom of the barrel in defense, or I guess bottom of the middle of the pack. But because you look at the defensive line that they have. They got Carlos Dunlap, a very good pass rusher.
Right.
Damata Pecco, I guess is how you pronounce the last name. He's a big dude, 6'3", 325, a lot of beef. And then Geno Atkins, a defensive tackle. He's a star there, Pro Bowler multiple times, 6'1", 300 pounds. Michael Johnson, the Georgia Tech. Yeah, Michael Johnson, Georgia Tech graduate, 6'7", 272, very long-armed, dangerous pass rusher. And then at linebacker, these are big names at linebacker. Vontez Burfict is one of the better linebackers in the NFL if he's not getting himself in trouble with hot-headed plays. And then Carlos Dansby's
a nice way to put it, by the way.
Yeah, he's very that's true. But Carlos Dansby, I'd
call him a dirty player, not just. That's what I'd call.
He's dirty. He's dirty, but he's very good, very talented, and he's a hard hitter too. So he's going to be someone to look out for on our middle of the game, field passes and stuff. Mm-hmm. Carlos Dansby, he's old, but he's still a very good linebacker. He's always been a playmaker. He did a lot of good things for the Cardinals in his day. And then they got Ray Malaluga at middle linebacker, very solid. Not a very fast guy, but he's a very solid linebacker. He can bring the wood on guys, deliver a hit. Mm-hmm. So it really surprises me that they're giving up so many yards on defense because they're talented. And then on the back end, Adam Jones, Pac-Man Jones, who his what I don't know how best to say this, but he's got
a lot of negative history.
A lot of negative.
That's what I was going for. It seems like since he's gotten to Cincinnati, a lot of it's gone away.
Yes, and he's been very good for Cincinnati for a long time. And they got George Iloka at safety. He's very good too. Drake Kirkpatrick, who's a decent corner. They're a talented defense, so it's kind of odd that they're giving up all these yards and stats that they're not used to. They've been top 5, top 10 defense for a number of years now, and I guess they're in a slump or something because it's very surprising.
They could have a cookout with all the beef on that defense.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, Robbie, I guess I have an answer to that to some extent. Because let's look at who they played. They played the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers ran up, 374 yards. They played the Patriots post Tom Brady's return. 437 yards, 35 points. They played the Denver Broncos, the Super Bowl champions, 355 yards. They laid an egg maybe against the Jets. They did win the game, but yardage-wise. But they've played 3 of the top teams in the NFL already.
And you forgot the Cowboys.
And so I think and then they played they played the Cowboys, and who we all hate to say it, but the Cowboys are doing well this year. So they played 4 good teams. And the only real kind of chump team they played is the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I think part of the numbers that you're seeing is just that they've just had a hard schedule.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah, true.
It's just a situational thing because I mean I hear what you're saying. I mean they've got a lot of talent on defense. A Pac-Man. Ray Maluga I think is underrated because he's had his issues with alcohol. He was in rehab and he's had some issues himself. But he's a solid pro. He was solid in USC. He's a quality linebacker.
Yeah.
So
a lot of Redskins fans wanted Ray Maluga back in the day when he was.
Hey,
in the draft process.
I'm raising my hand. I wanted Ray too. But the flip side of this is, we're a talented offense.
Right.
We've become a solid offense. You know what team is the number 2 in total yards in NFL? Want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, I mean,
Redskins.
I think we all know it's us.
Our
passing game has been solid, even though we've complained a lot about it. It's effective, even when it's not impressive.
Well, I was thinking about that today because, you make a good point. I think, listen, we have nothing but time on these shows, so we're going to pick apart everything. But the bottom line is with Kirk, okay, is he top tier quarterback? Maybe not, but he's very effective in the offense that we have. We could like Alex and I criticize him for maybe not going deep enough against Detroit. But he has the skills and within the bounds of the offense, he runs this offense very well. Mm-hmm. And that's reflected in the fact that we run up all these yards on all these teams. The downside, of course, is that we're not scoring points, at a good clip because it kind of falls apart once we hit the red zone.
Right.
That's the nut that needs to be cracked. Even our running game is becoming, a top third running game at this point. At least statistically it is.
Chris Thompson had 100 yards rushing against the Lions, didn't he?
I think he had 100 yards if you add his rushing and his receiving. I think.
Oh, is it total yards?
On the ground, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's I misread that stat.
Yeah, he didn't have a 100-yard rushing day. Yeah, you are. He didn't have a 100-yard rushing day. But your point is valid. Your point is that Chris Thompson has become a major contributor. He was the biggest contributor in terms of the stable of running backs last week. Yeah. So the question, I guess, would be, knowing all this, I think this is a really good matchup. If I was just a unbiased third-party observer, I think this would be a really good matchup to present to the British people, out in London. The question would be, what do we
perspective? Yes.
Yeah, from a game perspective, it's a very good matchup. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, what do we do to the Bengals so we can win the game offensively?
I think we just stick to what we've been doing. Run the ball effectively, and stick to our pretty decent pass game. Just got to be balanced and execute.
Give Kelly more carries.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
Part of it. Yeah, keep giving. Thompson had, I think, 15-ish touches yesterday or last week. Keep doing that too. I think that's a good number.
Well, Alex and I talked about this, so I guess I'll give Sean and Robbie the opportunity. Alex and I both mutually concluded that we're kind of done with Matt in terms of our opinion that he should be the number 1 running back. And I feel free to correct me, Alex, if I'm.
Oh yeah, no. I said I in the beginning said he should get a shot. I've seen enough now. He's not the number 1 guy. He won't ever be a number 1 guy.
And what's the point? Sorry, not to interrupt. What's the point of even establishing him that way when you've got these other options? I mean, why call a guy the number 1 back if he's not producing at any level higher than anybody else?
He's a 3rd-round pick. The team is going to give up on him. He's a 3rd-round pick. That's why Scott McLuhan really likes him.
Yeah.
I think if we know anything about Scott McLuhan,
they just let that go.
If we know anything about Scott McLuhan, that he stopped.
Yeah. You can't take somebody's draft position, into account, I would say, when you're talking about when to start them. I mean, I understand there's an attachment there with, quarterbacks and running backs, especially positions that are that high profile. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, fix it if it's broken. It doesn't make sense to establish one guy one way if he's not doing it. That's my opinion anyway.
Right. And I think he's a good back to have. I don't think he should not be playing. I don't think. It's hard to really say you can't be a number 1 back if you're going to fumble it like you did or like you do. Right. Up to this game, it hadn't been that much of a problem. He did, I think, last week too.
Yeah,
he did last week. But my point is, up to this past 2 weeks, he'd been showing that the carries and fumbles had kind of gone away, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's back to
2 in a row.
His old ways. My thing is, I don't think he's necessarily the number 1 back. His vision isn't quite there. Mm-hmm. He has the body to be a workhorse back, but you need consistent running from him. Things have to be more open. He's not a creator. Rob Kelly's a creator. Chris Thompson's a creator. Mm-hmm. I'd say, really, honestly, Chris Thompson should be the starter if he was any bit bigger. But he can't consistently run between the tackles at his size.
You can't only run outside on the edges all the time. You have to be able to do both, ideally.
Well,
shoot it up the gut.
Nor he shouldn't be doing that. You know, he's 6'3", 235 pounds, and he just is not good between the tackles unless there's just a wide open, running lane for him. He cannot create. Forget the fumbles. The fumbles are bad, but even outside of that, I still don't think that he has the talent that Rob Kelly has.
And I even made the point during the game. I tweeted out, I mean, even Jamison Crowder, as small as he is, he had an option. There was one play where he caught, I think it was a wide open flat route, and he took it and ran with it. He could have easily ran out of bounds, but he juked, a little shake, and then he just tucked his shoulder and, drilled right through two guys.
He's not afraid to do that kind of thing, yeah.
If he ran like Jamison Crowder does, or even Chris Thompson runs harder than his size would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
If he ran like either of those guys, this would be a whole nother conversation. But it's just not the way he runs. He's a big back trying to be a scat back, and it just doesn't work. He dances in place too much.
Mm-hmm. I'm a scat man.
Well,
Sorry,
and Robbie, I can.
Good.
Nice reference. Robbie, from my limited football experience, at my level, I played. It was immediately obvious the running backs that were the talented running backs. You could see it in practice with the first carry, because a good running back doesn't hesitate at all. Zero hesitation, has the vision to see it right off the bat, runs hard, runs low, and runs into people. And I just don't see that out of Matt Jones. Am I wrong, Robbie, in that kind of observation?
No, yeah, you either got it or you don't. And I just don't think he has that vision that you need to be a consistent number one back. I think he's a great complementary back to have, but I just don't think he's a starter type.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, maybe we should, unless if anybody has any other thoughts about the running game, maybe we should switch over. And I got to ask, because I know the people at home want to know, is Jordan Reed going to play for this game, guys? Do we have any word on that? I know it's early in the week.
Yeah,
Probably not announced yet.
We're a day too early to really know, I think, for sure, right?
He was cleared for practice this week, but that doesn't mean quite much. I mean, it all depends.
You never know. Yeah. Well, I would ask this. Hopefully he is, but if not, I heard Djax had some passive aggressive tweeting going on this past week. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but he's still waiting for his big game. What bodes for us in the passing game?
This kind of goes back to the last game too. I mean, he got his targets against the Eagles, and then he disappeared again for the Lions. The problem with the Lions game was we could not drop back more than 5 steps. Really,
they were coming at us.
The way the Lions D-line and front 7 were going after us, there just wasn't enough time. Yeah. So the typical deep drops and big throws to Deshaun just weren't there. We couldn't. They
weren't on the table.
No, and the Lions were also covering him with the safety the whole time.
Yeah, with Jordan Reed out, he's our biggest threat in the passing game, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. I think the other problem is, I mean, there are ways to work around that, and ideally you put him in the slot or something, but for whatever reason, it didn't seem like we were doing much of that, moving him around to try and get him open.
Yeah.
Well, also remember that the Lions had dropped back 2 safeties. I think the film has shown that, and they were shading a safety over. And so while he's good, he's not going to shake loose when you've got, bracket coverage, basically, sort of a form of zone bracket coverage on him basically for a good chunk of the game. You combine that with, the pass rush, as Robbie mentioned, and it just wasn't, there wasn't an opportunity for him to really kind of go crazy on it. But, our friend, I think it was Lake Lewis that mentioned this week. Our newfound friend, Lake Lewis. I think this is it. He mentioned that, Kirk, within the bounds of the offense, Kirk just doesn't look downfield too much.
No.
That's not really the way. The plays aren't designed so that the primary receiver is the guy running either an out and up or, a post corner or, some deep pattern like that. The offense is really designed to look short. And that's kind of what Kirk's focus is. And so we're just not in an offense where Djax is going to get looks like that, like they would in, say, like Carolina. If he was with Cam Newton, he'd be getting the ball every other play.
Sure.
And that's just kind of not the way we operate here.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that some of these experts are seeing the same stuff that I've been seeing for a while now, for about a year.
Yeah.
So my question then, if we're going to stick with Redskins offense here to, I know we're coming up towards the end of the episode here, but my question is, and Steve, I don't know if you have these stats, are the Bengals here particularly susceptible to receivers over tight ends? Are we going to see another big game from Vernon Davis or one of these other tight ends we have? Or, what's the prognosis there? I know you said they're better generally against the pass.
Yeah, that's just kind of their raw numbers. The stats I have don't really lend themselves to
easy breakdowns in that way.
Yeah, no. So I don't really know. I would, off the top of my head, I would think when you've got a corner like Adam Jones out there, you may have better chance underneath,
right?
Than you would trying to run right at him man-to-man coverage, because he's a mess and he's a wreck as a person, or at least he was in the past. But he's a very talented cornerback.
Sorry, go ahead, Steve. Finish your.
Well, I just said for what it's worth, I think that off the top of my head, I would think that the underneath stuff to read is probably the way to go, just to avoid threatening him too much.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm on my fantasy team on NFL.com. They track some stats.
Right.
I have Vernon Davis as my tight end right now, and according to their fantasy stats, Bengals give up the 7th most fantasy points to tight ends. So if Jordan Reed's back, he could be in for a good day, and if not, then Vernon Davis should have the opportunity to have a good game.
That would also bode well to Crowder, who, being a slot guy, kind of runs those same gaps and spaces on the field.
Well, along with that, I also have Pierre Garçon on my team, and according to the fantasy stats, Bengals give up the 7th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers.
Well, there you
go.
Question answered.
Keep that in mind. Yeah.
So my suspicion was basically right then, and that's the way to play against the Bengals as kind of a general rule.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. I think that kind of plays to our natural strengths anyway, right?
And playing to natural strengths, and since we're running out of time, I want to bring up one big thing on defense. I am petrified about not having Josh Norman and having to go against Green.
It's going to be a disaster.
Green's not a joke for anybody who hasn't been following the Bengals this year. Green's been playing very well, as he always really does.
I mean, he just literally caught a Hail Mary pass over the entire Browns secondary.
And I think he had a million other touchdowns against the Browns yesterday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, give or take.
Okay, Green on the season, 50 receptions, 775 yards. Let's contrast that just to give people, the fans, a frame of reference. Our leading receiver by yardage is Jamison Crowder, 391 yards.
Right.
And our leading receiver by receptions remains Jordan Reed at 33 yards. So Green has got almost, that's basically twice as many yards as our leading receiver, 50 receptions. He's got 20 more receptions, 3 touchdowns, 15.5 yards per carry.
Right.
The guy is a beast and he's a monster. I think Josh Norman may have trouble with him even if he was there and healthy.
Yeah,
I think you have to bracket him, to help.
Well, to be fair, I mean, the Bengals pretty much go through him on offense. They don't really spread it around that much. We tend to spread it around a lot. Kirk dishes it out to a lot of people compared to the Bengals.
The Bengals, it's basically deep to Green and then run the ball.
They do that because they can, though. Right. You see, they do that because he's physically capable of it.
Plus, their tight end, Tyler Eifert, who's a really good receiving threat, he's been struggling with injuries all year. So that's another target that's been taken away that forces more targets towards A.J. Green.
Right.
See, I think we should just shade a safety and have a safety just chill at the opposite end zone the entire game. Just wait there on the line, just loiter way the fuck back there. Because there's really no other way you're going to do it. We don't seem to be a team that knows how to do that. We cannot move a safety to help our corners out to save the life of us.
I was going to say, Sean, I don't think we have a safety that we would be able to move there that would be of any help.
Did you guys notice, by the way, did you guys notice that Dante Whitner got 100% of the snaps against the Lions?
Yeah, I saw the snap counts today.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, okay,
that's very surprising.
He's a decent safety. I still don't think he's much of an improvement from Nacho.
No, he's not the same playmaker that Nacho is. I still don't think he should be starting over Nacho. but that's
They're
just the way the
different kinds of
coaches.
players. I know that, but
Yeah, I would prefer to have Nacho and Whitner on the field at the same time as both safeties. But
Nice.
obviously you need some type of cover safety back there, so that's why Will Blackman is out there.
Right.
Which gives, I guess, the coaches obviously like Whitner more than Duke, but I mean, honestly, you see Duke play, you see that he's a playmaker. He flies all over the place and is in the mix of every play. So I don't know that I bow to the coaches on this, but I still think a lot of people also think this, but that Duke should be the starter.
Yeah, well, I don't know many people who would take an extremely strong opinion the other way. I feel like you're totally
I don't
valid
think
point.
anyone's really in any camp when it comes to our safeties right now.
Yeah.
If our D-line was such a mess, that would be the number one need we need to fix.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of D-line, I'd like to throw some more shade out there for consideration. We just talked about AJ Green and how great it is. I'd also like to point out that their lead running back, Jeremy Hill, is averaging almost 5.5 yards carry. Right. He's got 5.2 yards per carry. He's only had 84 attempts, 439 yards. So they can, as a team, the Bengals aren't rushing that well, but individually to Jeremy Hill, he's dangerous against a defense that has not proven it can really stop anybody. Yes.
Well, Jeremy Hill, I hate to bring it back to fantasy, but I have Jeremy Hill too on my football team or fantasy team, and he has not been very consistent. Like he's had 2 good games for me.
Gotcha.
That was week 3 against the Broncos, and this past week against the Browns. Obviously, he's gonna have a good game against the Browns. It's the Browns.
The Broncos is surprising though. I mean, they're a pretty good defense.
I mean, other than that, he's had 9 points, 5 points, 7 points, 1 point, 4 points. It's been very up and down. I know that's fantasy, but it tells you, it gives you a narrative of his season.
Yeah,
I trust fantasy stats more than I trust PFF, man. I'll tell you that much.
Well, let's don't get me started on PFF. You're gonna get me all riled up. But the point I think is, it seems like from what you just read out, Robbie, that the outlier is maybe the Broncos. He had a good game against the Broncos. That's odd. But he's running up and down the field on the Browns. Well, guess what? Our run defense isn't any better than Cleveland's.
That's true.
They had a good week. They had a good week against the Eagles, but the Eagles aren't going to grind out 150 yards on anybody anyway.
Right. No,
we haven't really stopped teams.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I almost feel like we should just give up on – I mean, obviously don't give up, but focus more on the pass rush hitting pay dirt. I feel like that's the unit that's been reanimated by Dr. Frankenstein the last few weeks. If they can keep doing something, that'd be enough for me. If we just if we can get pressure on the quarterback, if Kerrigan, and if Kerrigan's reanimated corpse can keep getting sacks, then I'm totally cool with it. I've given up on stopping the run pretty much from anybody.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is basically – to really have a chance, not have a chance. I think we do have a good chance, but my point is to really kind of put our defense in a good situation is we have to jump on top of the Bengals quickly.
Yeah,
and, force them to pass, let our defensive line pin their ears back and rush the quarterback, bring the heat. I think that's the biggest thing since we're going to probably be down without Josh Norman. And even if he is playing, he's still not going to be 100%. I mean, that was a very nasty concussion that he suffered.
Yeah, it was.
Is Breland going to be playing? I mean, are we going to have either of them back?
That's still kind of up in the air, it seems. But my point is...
I think it's... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. My point is you need to bring some heat, bring some blitzes, really kind of mix it up and confuse Andy Dalton, because if you don't, you're going to be hurting in the back end on defense because we just aren't healthy enough or, even good enough in that matter regard because of our safeties to really cover elite guys like AJ Green.
I think that the Bengals are going to follow the script that the Eagles and the Lions tried to follow, neither successfully particularly. Both of those teams tried to establish the run early, and particularly the Lions. They didn't do a good job at it, but they kept going back to it and back to it and back to it. The Bengals have the running back to do it. I think what we're going to see early in the game, I think they're going to go to Jeremy Hill several times to try and establish, their dominance of their O-line over our D-line. And if that happens, that really opens up the game tremendously. it opens up the secondary tremendously. And guess who's lurking out there is the Dalton to AJ Green connection. So I think that's what we're going to see early is them going to the run repeatedly and to see if it works. And if it works, look out. It's going to be problems.
Yeah, and what helps them too in this is that they have a pretty decent 1-2 punch at running back too. I mean, after Jeremy Hill, they got Giovanni Bernard, who's a very good back as well, who's been great at getting yards and getting points on the board. So if we don't stop it, then
who's a pass catcher at that too.
Yeah, he's a good receiving back too. So if we don't stop the two of them, it's going to be a long day.
Absolutely.
And then you've got AJ Green on a free. If the safeties have to pay attention to the run because the running backs are getting into the second level, that just is less attention that can be paid to AJ Green, who is without a doubt up in the top 5 most dangerous receivers in the NFL. Just a general ranking, he's up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, maybe on that note, we'll let you have the last word there. And if you guys feel so confident, maybe we should do our British-themed predictions. What do you guys think?
Let's do it, Mike.
I'm excited about that there, Governor.
Governor. See, Governor works. A mate, I believe, is Australian, but let's not call each other out because mine's going to be way worse. Okay. Anybody want to bravely volunteer?
I nominate Alex for it because I went last week. Sean went the week before.
Let me tell you something
Alex,
that's going to happen right now, Governor.
Governor?
Yes.
That's Alex's way to do it. He just says governor after every sentence. Okay. So.
Yes, you just say governor a lot. Well, you see, what's all going to happen here is the Redskins' offense will not be able to put up enough points and stop the Bengals' defense without Josh. I can't do analysis in a voice. It's really hard to do an analysis in a voice.
That's fair.
Yeah. No, I can do a British accent. I can't do,
off the cuff.
Yeah, I can't do NFL British accent. I don't see us being able to stop Green. I don't see our offense kind of matching that pace that they can get on if Green gets going. I'm going to go 30-27 Bengals.
30-27 Bengals.
All right, y'all. I think I'll try to do my prediction.
Not bad.
I really do think this is going to be a fairly close game. As I said earlier, the teams are remarkably evenly matched in many respects. I think at the end of the day, however, the Cincinnati offense will be just too much to handle for the Redskins defense, and it will be a close game, something along the line, close, fairly high-scoring game, something along the lines of 28-24 Bengals.
Fair enough.
There you go.
All right, well, I'd say the real key to this game is the pass rush. And actually, I think I just switched from Cockney British to, educated British.
You did.
But let's just keep going because that's the best I can do, guys. Kerrigan's really been coming alive recently, and I think he's going to be the key to this one. So I'm going to say, we can't stop the run. Our only hope of stopping them on defense is going to be putting their quarterback, Dalton, in the dirt. It's going to be a low-scoring, tight affair. I'm going to go with 17-24 Redskins. So 24-17 Redskins. Sorry, that's what it is in American accent.
All right, I'm gonna change my. I'm gonna do something a little different that you're not expecting from my British accent.
Uh-oh.
I'm going for Dudley Moore here.
Nice.
Well, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game as well.
Perfect.
The Bengals are going to score a lot of points, and then AJ Green's going to have his day. So I'm going to say the Redskins are going to actually eke this one out a bit and score enough points to win. Probably, I'm going to say 20-17.
20-17. Okay, see, we're not that far off. Okay, well, now our predictions are in the books, so God knows who the stupidest British person was from this episode. We'll find out.
Well, I'm technically, my grandmother's British, so I'm probably the closest to a stupid British person.
You're the official stupid British person on this crew. Okay, I like that.
Well, he had the worst accent of the three of us, of the
Which
four
is amazing.
of us.
My grandmother has a British accent. I can't do it.
If Alex's accent was the worst, I survived that one by the skin of my teeth. Okay.
No, you did. You kicked my ass. I can't do it on mic. It's very weird.
How was my Dudley Moore? Was it good enough?
That was actually
Jason
great.
Yeah, it was
Statham
good.
mixed with Dudley Moore.
See, it's not fair. It's not fair though that we do these with voices. Robbie is obviously the most talented voice person. You just do that.
It
to
was
embarrass-
kind of
You see,
Robbie was kind of like
I
Jason
could-
Statham.
Sorry,
Robbie, you
I
were
was
kind of
gonna-
like Jason Statham who drank too much.
That's what Dudley Moore is. He always sounds like he's drunk.
Yeah, you just defined it.
I could've-
It's small.
See, I could have sounded like Michael Caine if I wanted to.
Oh, that was actually
Michael
very
Caine.
I can kind of do it. Michael Caine. I can do a little bit of a Michael Caine as well.
Okay, it's decided.
Michael
Every
Caine.
prediction from now on, Robbie will do a different style of British accent
Or just a different voice. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
or a different voice. Okay.
I think
well,
this. By the way,
Well, I
injury
agree.
update real fast. By the way, Trent Williams is going to travel to London. You know, he had the knee
Right.
injury last week. He is going to travel with no structural damage in his knee, so that's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ashton, go ahead.
I
No,
kind of
that's-
think he
well-
should rest the week, but that's just me.
you know that man doesn't know how to rest.
I know.
Anyway, I got an exciting announcement, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to let you go back to your lives, but congratulations to Dave. Okay, Dave is WSK 28 rules on Twitter, and Dave submitted the craziest neighbor story that we got. It was awesome. I won't bore you guys all with the details, but his commanding officer shows up in his living room when he's coming out of the shower uninvited. That's pretty fucked up. Now, I will say, a lot of you submitted good stories. Most of them were asshole stories, not really crazy people stories. I'm dealing with legitimate psychoticness over here, so I appreciate the submissions. Continue to do that. And Dave, you are the big winner. Special shout out, by the way, to at Lou Venturi, who had another really good submission as well. So
And-
Dave, we'll get you your stuff.
Good for you, Dave.
Yeah, Dave, we will DM you, Dave, to get mailing address for you.
That's right. You got a shirt coming, man. So please continue to do these competition, guys. This was really fun, and you can win free stuff. So what can
Quick reminder: 9:30 game, everybody. So we got to be up early to watch. I'm actually going to go to the Queen Vic on 8th Street to
Nice.
eat and drink. It's a British pub which has the, in my opinion, best fish and chips in BC.
And it's topical. It's very time appropriate
Right.
to go to a beach pub. Nice.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. All right. Well, we'll let you go, ladies and gentlemen, with that. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Cheerio.